Hey dancers, welcome back to our channel. I'm Julie and I'm the owner and one of the instructors here at Broche Ballet, a ballet school just for adults in Denver, Colorado. Today we're going to be talking about penché. This is one of my absolute favorite positions in ballet. It is so pretty, especially when that leg is all the way up at a 6 o'clock penché when it goes straight up and down. It is just so absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to be talking to you about how I like to teach a penché. If you are having fun with us, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It does help us out. So let's get started. So a penché, we're going to think about taking our arabesque position and tipping it down. It means to dive. We're going to think about diving down, although it's really going to feel not quite like a nice free fall dive. It's going to feel like more of a challenge than that, not just kind of diving off of something, but that is what it means. So we're going to think about taking our arabesque. I'm going to do it just holding on with one hand. I'm kind of facing a diagonal, so I'm not facing square to the bar and I'm not facing down the bar. I'm facing a little bit to the diagonal of the bar. This is going to allow me when I dive to have room for my head to go here. If I was facing here and I tried to dive, then I'm going to hit the bar. And if I'm facing straight down, then my arm is going to be all weird when I try to do the penché. So I want this arm to be kind of straight out in front of my shoulder when I work on this penché. So here we are in this position. I'll use my outside leg here so that it's just a little bit easier for you to see. This leg is going to start in a tendu back. We're going to think about lifting it up to our arabesque line. So now when I go for this penché, the shape of my body is not going to change. I'm going to think about continuing to lift my leg until my body drops. Now I'm not going to think about going for it with my body because I promise you your leg is not going to bother coming with you. It is going to want to stay down there. So make sure you think about bringing your leg up first and then letting your chest go forward as it needs to. Again, we don't want the chest to go forward any more than necessary. We want to try to keep your back up and lift it as much as possible. So here we are again in that arabesque. I've got my leg out straight. My shoulders are square to where I'm standing, which again is like on this diagonal plane. So I don't want my shoulders to be opening with my leg. This is going to unengage my back and I'm not going to be able to pick up my leg. So again, here I am in this penché. I'm going to think about this opposite shoulder lifting up my leg. So in this case, this leg is up, so this shoulder is going to be thinking about pulling back to lift my leg up. So here we are with this leg super stretched out there. We're going to think about lifting that leg up nice and high. We're going to think about keeping our chest square to that diagonal plane that we're on. Don't let your body open up this way. We don't want to end up here because again, our back is not engaged. So here we are with this shoulder back, this leg lifting, and I'm trying as much as I can to keep my back up. So a couple things that are going to help you out with this penché. First, I want to talk about a cambre back. So if I stand facing the side of the room and I do a cambre back, I'm going to think about taking this point of my back somewhere between my shoulder blades and pushing it through this point of my chest so that I go here and I think about pushing my back up and through my chest. I'm not just crunching back into my low back. I'm lifting my rib cage up and open. I'm really feeling my back pushing up and through my chest. So here's your cambre back, right? Now when we're in this penché or in this arabesque, if I had my spine straight and then I thought about the same thing, my back pushing through my front, now my back lifts and my back is engaged. It can be kind of hard to feel your back and what it means to engage your back. So I like to think about taking your back and pushing it through your front when you're in a cambre back, in an arabesque, in a penché, in an attitude back, any of those things where that leg is behind you. So we're pushing it up and through. That kind of helps keep your ribs closed so we don't just splay out the chest. We don't want that. We want the ribs closed and then thinking about lifting the back. So here we are again. Let's try that penché with that idea of pushing the back through the chest. So we're here in this penché position, in this arabesque position. That leg is outstretched, and I'm going to think about just lifting the leg up. Again, I'm square to that diagonal plane. Now I'm going to think about, instead of being here with my back just not engaged and flat, I'm going to think about pushing my back through my chest so I'm leading with my chest. We don't want it to kink our neck, but we want to feel like our back is pushing through our chest, so we're kind of open here in the chest as we're going up. If we close in or we cave in, now that back is no longer engaged and we can't get that leg picked up. Your back is a big, big driver in lifting your leg, and so we want to use all those big muscles on the top of your back to really help get that leg up. The other thing I want you to think about when you're doing your penché is where your weight is on your standing leg. So if you're pulled all the way back here on your standing leg, on your standing hip, if you're pulled all the way back, it's going to be a little bit harder to get your body in the right position to lift your leg. So I want you to think about being up and forward over your standing leg to start. Maybe even think about testing the weight on your heel and seeing if that weight is on your toes or if it's in your heels. You want to be pretty soft on that heel when you're starting to learn this penché. That's why we have the bar for support, so we can use that particular, that for support when we're not sitting back on our heels. So we're pushing with our hand on the bar, and we're kind of thinking about being light on our heel there with that standing leg. So here we are, we've got our leg lifting. We're not leading with the chest, right? Our leg lifted us up. We're pushing our back through our chest so that leg goes nice and high. Now we're getting ready to come back up, right? We're gonna think about reaching out to come up, reach out more to come up. We don't wanna lead with the leg. So the opposite on the way back up. Leg takes you down, chest takes you up. So we're not thinking about leg right back down, because then if we do that, then your body's just gonna come down with it, right? That's so much easier. We don't get to do it that way. We always do everything the hard way in ballet. So we're here in our penché. We're going to think about leaving our leg as high as it can go as we try to think about opening our chest, lifting our back, and then coming back up and letting that leg come back down when it's time, but no sooner. So a couple things that'll help improve your penché. A big one is flexibility, especially this standing leg. So as I'm doing this position of the penché, I'm pretty much needing to be able to touch the ground down here, and then I'm going to lift my back up. So if that's difficult for you, then you might start working on some hamstring stretches, especially for that standing leg, because that is going to be a big limiting factor in terms of why you feel like you can't get your leg up. The other thing you want to work on is the upper back. So you can have this cambre in the upper back and not be stuck upright. That arch and lift is going to be really, really critical and instrumental in getting your leg to be picked up. We need that back to be engaged. We need your pecs and your chest to be open enough that you can actually pull your shoulder blades back enough to lift up your leg. So you really want to be able to get a nice flexible upper back and chest to be able to lift that leg up. Then the last bit of the flexibility that I would mention is this hip flexor for this for the working leg. This is anytime you're in a tendu back, arabesque, splits, it's always the front of this hip, this quad, all of that gets a little bit tight. So you want to do some lunging type stretches to get that hip worked out. So last thing I want to show you today are a couple of exercises that are assisted to help you get the feeling of your penché. So the first one I want to show you is one where we don't need the bar for this one, but we basically use our hands on the ground as we try to push our leg up. So again, I mentioned if you can't touch the ground yet, you can work on those hamstrings, but until then you could use a chair for this or something where you could put your hands on a tabletop. You don't have to reach all the way to the floor. So when I go down all the way to the floor, my leg's going to go up overhead, and then I'm going to think about where my hands are on the floor. So once I get down there, I'll show you how that works. So we're going to get into this position with the leg up, and we're going to feel our shoulders square to the ground. So you see I'm not opening this way where my hand doesn't feel like it's going to reach the ground. I want both my hands planted flat on the ground so that my shoulders are really in line and square with the floor. Your body is so going to want to twist away from it, but we don't want that to happen. We want to be able to push with both our hands. If you're having trouble keeping that leg up there, you can put it on a wall so that it's got something to rest against and you can work your upper body. But this really is nice if you can do it with the floor and no wall. But again, assisted versions are with a chair or a coffee table and or a wall to help keep your leg up. So again, I'm here and I really want to think about pushing. So whichever leg is up, push into that hand, push on the ground to try to get that side of your body engaged. This side of the body is going to be much easier to get down to the ground because it's the side that's on your supporting leg, but this side really doesn't want to be on the ground. So you're going to think about pushing, and every time you push, start to notice how your leg starts to lift a little bit and what that connection is. So when you're here in that penché, you can start to feel that connection as you square your shoulders off that you're able to get your leg lifted. If you have the flexibility but don't have the ability to hold it, then some of it is going to be this awareness of how to use these particular muscles. The last thing I'll show you is how to do this stretch with the bar. You can again do it with a chair or something lower, so if you can't quite reach all the way up to the bar. So I'm going to start with one leg up on the bar. I just like to put it up in the front of me and then turn away from it just to make it easier. So I'm going to swivel myself around away from it. See how I ended up in an arabesque? Again, if that's too high for you, then put it down on a chair, coffee table, couch. Any of that stuff is fabulous. It doesn't really matter where it is. So we're here in the front, and then I turn towards the bar and keep turning until I end up away from the bar. So I'm going to drop down. This is going to stretch this hamstring here. I might even play with how far forward my weight wants to be and how far back. Then I'm going to think about coming up. This is where you want to square everything off. So number one, that knee is going to want to bend back there and do all kinds of crazy stuff. If it's doing that, drop it down. I'd rather have it straight than have it be up here all cattywampus around the bar. So we're going to have that leg nice and straight. Don't let your body turn towards the bar. It's going to want to. Open this chest, almost like you're trying to reach for that toe. Open it and cambre back, and then back down, right? So that is going to help you find the muscles in your back as you start thinking about how to get your leg up higher. A couple of key points I want to leave you with. The more you can think about lengthening your spine, the better it's going to be. I know this sounds super, super counterintuitive, but you want to think about a long, long, long spine and not just crunching into your back. That's where we get that crunchy feeling in the back. We don't like that feeling. It's not pleasant. It doesn't get your leg up any higher. So we really don't want to be crunching back there. It's not a good thing. We want to be lengthening up and tall, and then like I was talking about, push your back through your chest. So lengthen, lift, and push your back through your chest. You want to try to find that feeling, a long low back, a long upper back, a long spine, so that you're thinking about pulling your vertebra apart and not just crunching and smashing them together. So use those muscles that go right along the side of your spine. Use those muscles in your core to lift and separate instead of just folding your body in half. You should really be reaching your body, getting longer in this position, and not getting smashed and shorter. All right, dancers, I hope you had a lot of fun with me learning the penché today. I know I sure did. It is one of my favorite steps. Until next time, dancers, take care.